Hello, 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 hello. I'm called Taste Ransom, your host of the C Note. This is what will be episode 13 of the C Note, waiting for my very special guest, Ms. Kimberly Truesdale. There she is right there, waving at me. Need her to come onto the screen. There she is right there. All right. Yeah, she should be coming on the screen any second. Hopefully. Yeah. Oh, there she goes. There she
Oops, sorry guys.
Oh, where you at? Where you at? Can't hardly see you.
Right
Oh, there you
here.
down there.
Hi. So I'm
I
so
need you up
short.
a little bit.
Look, I'm trying to sit on pillows. I'm so short.
You need a
Hi,
booster
everyone.
seat. You need a booster seat, my sister. Hey. I'm like, where's she at? She over
Right? I'm like
here?
down here. I'm like, oh, I'm up here. Hello,
Oh my
baby.
God.
Thank you for
I
having
need you
me.
I need you to be elevated a little bit, my sister. Gotta
Always,
put you on
always.
some cushions.
Right? I said, hold on. I got to get a little cushion so I can sit on like a booster seat, like you said. I'm like, Lord,
Yeah, it's good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see
good
you.
to see you as well.
I really enjoyed having you on King Talk this past was it? Last Thursday. Yeah,
Yes,
it was
last
Thursday.
Thursday. Yes, yes. It
A
was
lot of
actually an
great
awesome
input.
time.
He has a great input from you. We definitely want to have you on again anytime, anytime, anytime. Um, well, I had my little spiel, and I hope you join in on me with my little side eye. You know how I do the side eye, right? You know how to give people the side eye.
Always.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. Good. 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 Well, this is the C note where we keep it 100 and the real
Mhm.
recognize real. We also see you fake asses out there too. I have
Oh
with
my.
me tonight Miss Kimberly Truesdale, who was born and raised right here in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yes.
She has been involved in the arts since the age of 9, which led her to the historic arena players because she was into dance, where she developed her skills further in dance, singing, and acting, and she had her first experience choreographing there. She went on to graduate from Stevenson University with a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology, correct? I'm doing this all
Hmm.
from memory.
Come on,
Uh,
acting
uh,
skills.
I've been trying to memorize this stuff. Yeah, I'm not looking at it. I got notes right here. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. And you are now in your what?
Finishing up my
Graduate?
first year. Grad school.
Yeah.
Yep.
Grad school.
Hmm.
And you're in the clinical mental health program.
Yes.
And you want to use um your skills to serve underserved and underprivileged, underrepresented communities, and you want to
Hmm.
use your skills to also uplift the Black community because you
Hmm.
believe that if Black lives matter, they should matter to us, and Black mental health matters. And
Yes.
you now also serve as a family investment specialist to
Hmm.
for the state of Maryland. I'm gonna ask you
Hmm.
about what's the difference between a one and a two and all that. I know one's level is higher than the other, but
Yeah.
and
That's all.
you also currently your only involvement right now in the arts is at your church. You put some letters down here. I don't know what these letters stand for. TOTLC. What church is that?
The Tabernacle of the Lord Church.
Say it again.
The Tabernacle of the Lord Church.
Oh, the Tabernacle of the Lord Church. All right, the Lord. All
Yeah,
right
that's why I
now.
put the TLC, making sure.
Well, it's so good to have you here. Good to have you here.
Yes.
So, wait a
Thanks
minute.
for
What
having me.
exactly is this family investment specialist?
So, if you want to use jargon or not use jargon or use regular
Hmm.
terms, it's just
Yeah.
a specialist who helps the community with getting, SNAP benefits or TCA or TDAP, things of that nature. Resources for the community that go through social
Hmm.
services. And it's always the negative connotation, like when you hear, "Oh, you work for social services." I'm like, yeah, because people need help.
So, why do
um,
people look at you negatively or look at working there
because
negative?
working at negative because people have a bad experience, and
Okay.
you said customer service is rude. Those are just some of the things that I've always heard before
Well,
I
they got rude
even
people
worked there.
working everywhere. Rude people work everywhere. So, what do you
Yes,
think?
yes, that's what I'm saying.
There's
It's all about your experience there.
right because there's rude people in the performing arts. but I'm not going to
Surely.
go there. Anyway, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave that alone right now.
Yes, but like you
Yeah,
said, it's rude people everywhere.
yeah. So, you started off getting into dance and acting, or was it dance just dance first, and then you branched off into
Yeah,
acting and
yeah. It
singing?
started off with just dancing. Me and my sister, Latanya, we did the shows
Hmm.
together. We both started off
Yes,
doing
I
dance
remember her.
classes. Dance classes at Essex Community College. We took
Okay.
African hip hop, things of that nature to get our bodies moving because when you're younger, your parents try to experiment where they want to
So,
put you.
so they had dance classes at Essex Community College for children.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. This was way back in the day. I don't know if things have changed,
Hmm.
but you come to the community college, and if you have a
Right.
teacher there who taught, so that's where the classes will be held.
So, who instilled the interest in the arts in you? Did it run in your family, or a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, or uncle?
Well, let me just say, I would say my mother, she always had
Hmm.
a piano in her house.
Okay.
So that's what technically I really started off like playing. Me and my sister ended up playing
Hey.
a keyboard,
Mhm.
piano, things of that nature. But I was like, no, I'm bored, and it just wasn't sticking. So that's when I guess she found like what else you want to do. And then watching videos back in the day, and my mother was always like, what do you want to do? What do you want to
Right.
experience? And so that's when she just signed up for dance class, and that's where I found my
Hey,
niche.
y'all. Hmm.
I found my niche, and I've been stuck with dancing, ever since.
Yeah, I remember meeting you. It was one of those Robert Russell plays.
Yes, yes.
Um, I don't know how long you had known Mr. Robert Russell, but I met him back in 2012
Hmm.
when he heard me singing in a rehearsal for Smokey Joe's Cafe,
Hmm.
and and he was like, I didn't know you could sing like that, so he wanted me to be in his next play, which was Up and Down the Avenue. I don't think that
Hmm.
was the one. Were you in Up and Down the Avenue, or was it inside the Royal Theater? It was one of those. It was
It was,
something about.
I think it was up and down the avenue as well. Because
Okay,
I
okay, okay.
remember the dancing.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
So we're going to get more to the mental health thing, but I want to know
Hmm.
uh so the performing thing, performing.
Hmm.
So this wasn't really like a real strong passion for you. It's like more a hobby for you because you're really not you're doing it for the church ministry, but you're
Hmm.
not like pursuing it, for
Professionally or like
professionally.
active. I can say that it's still a passion.
For the
Because
passion.
I find
So
myself.
so it
Hmm.
well as artists and people, we can
Hmm.
have multifaceted interests, of course.
Right.
Uh, so you could be a artist and have interest in other things. So it doesn't have to be an either or. A lot of people try to make you choose, like, what do you
Right.
like
Right.
better?
Right.
Why do you have to make a choice? Why can't you like multiple things
Right.
if you're good at multiple things?
Hmm.
Uh, so is that something that you want to do eventually? Still do something professionally in acting and singing, or you just want to stick with the mental health
Uh, I want to do
for
both because
now?
sometimes,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, I'm I'm doing the mental health because I feel like I have a calling for people, but
Hmm.
I find myself sometimes I listen to music, choreographing, like still dancing, still moving,
Right.
singing. I mean, my passion is still there. It's just that life hits.
Yeah. Yes.
I now have a daughter, and so I was like, okay,
A
what can
cutie
I
pie
do?
too. She's a cutie
Yes,
pie.
and
Yes, she is.
her name is Cadence.
I know. I know. I
So
pay
I
attention.
tell
I
her
know
all
what
the
they.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I eventually want to get back into it. If I'm not like dancing professionally, then maybe choreographing, um, doing pieces because it's still within me. Like anytime I hear music, I can come up with something like that. Like I just want
I
to move
remember. I
freely.
remember you dancing and up and down the avenue, and how you were moving. You were working that stage, my sister. You really. You was.
Thank
You were
you,
really good.
thank you.
So definitely, I like to see you do some stuff. But I started a black theater company, which
Hmm.
you know, trying to get it off the ground.
It's still coming. It's still
Well,
working.
it seemed like things were really starting to pick up just before all of this stuff happened. Things were
Right.
finally starting to get somewhere, and then this happened to shut everything down. I was actually in
Mhm.
the middle of rehearsing for a show when this happened. Of course, we
Mhm.
had to stop rehearsal.
Mhm.
But I've definitely been was thinking about you and asking you to choreograph some stuff because we
Mhm.
were working towards trying to do our first musical. I'm not going to say what the musical is yet on here, but we were working
Yes.
towards doing our own version
Yes.
of a
Yes.
musical. Yeah, and you was definitely somebody that I wanted to talk to about coming on board because as you know, my theater company has a black name. Um,
And nothing
Royal
wrong with
Hughes
that.
Royal Hughes Melanin Manor. Well, I was told by a brother who said, I really want to help you
Mhm.
because a lot of black folks work with Caucasians
Mhm.
who have the money to pull the strings and stuff like that. And he said, I
Mhm.
really want to help you, and I believe in helping black people and everything, but um, you might want to take you should take being black out of the title, out of the name of the company. Um, And I'm like, why should I have to take that out?
Mhm.
You know, to get help. And
Mhm.
I refuse to do that. I'm not
Mhm.
because that's the vision that I was given. That's the vision
Mhm.
that the creator gave me to
Mhm.
specifically name this company Royal Hughes Melanin Manor African
Mhm.
Ensemble Theater because it's based
Mhm.
on trying to unite our people and to heal our people and to
Mhm.
get us to look at each other with love. My
Mhm.
my my whole thing is about trying to do my best, whatever I can do to get rid of the self-hatred in our people. Because our
Mhm.
people we often complain about you know, the state of our people. We
Mhm.
often complain about how our people kill each other. We don't never
Mhm.
talk about the cause and effect. We don't
Mhm.
ever talk about the self-hatred that's there.
Mhm.
We just look at our people and we say, do better. Y'all, we need to do
Right.
better.
Right.
But some of our people don't even realize what they're doing sometimes.
Mhm.
But and you can't just say do better because the self hatred that's in a lot of our people is not going to go away on its own. It's not going
Mhm.
to go away on its own. You have to do
Mhm.
things. You have to be strategic to do things. That's why I'm about doing certain types of plays and stuff because theater is a very strong catalyst in
Mhm.
changing. We're always talking about using theater to change the minds of other people about us. But
Mhm.
we need to change. We need to use theater to change our minds about our own people, so we can stand up and be stronger and
Right.
love us. Because that self hatred is basically at the root of most of the issues that plague our people today.
Mhm.
And once we heal us and know of our greatness, a lot of stuff will change. Um, Now, I want to ask you about what made you want to get into the mental health field? Was specifically about what's going on with our people because a lot of our people, well, some of our people, see what's going
Mhm.
on, but they don't realize the mental reason, uh, the background reasons. A lot of people say stuff about why you acting like that. Look at him
Mhm.
doing that. Look at her doing that, but they don't address the cause and effect. They just think
Mhm.
that they just think that brother or sister just got up and started acting like that,
Right.
when-
Right.
out of the
Right.
blue with nothing to lead them to that. Um,
Mhm.
so, what made you want to get into the mental health field?
I think.
When was your interest first peaked to be in the mental health field?
Yeah, I think you hit it like perfectly. Saying like I would notice things that people like, oh, he just crazy. Oh, he ain't wake up
Yes,
in his right
indeed.
mind,
Hmm.
or she woke up on the wrong side of the bed. But I'm like, it has to be something further than that. It has to be
Hmm.
something psychologically in the mind. And I remember I was just like, I just love being around people, talking to people, and a lot of my friends would say I have a natural aura, of healing
Yeah.
or for people or I'm comfortable to talk with. And then,
Hmm.
I'm just researching. I'm like, I really love like being around people. I really love talking to people and I really like helping people. And so that's
Yes.
what inspired me to get into counseling. But I think that because growing up in an African American household, we would brush some stuff off so quickly.
Right.
Like I don't remember really learning about mental health and
Hmm.
depression and anxiety. It was just like, oh, you smelling yourself because you're getting grown, or oh,
Hmm.
it's that time of the month, so you're acting wild. But not knowing that some of these things, we've lived in, African American neighborhoods where the violence was at an all-time high. You can go wake up to gunshots, see blood, and then like keep it moving. I remember writing an essay talking about how I remember that whenever it was like a shootout on my block, we would go, all the adults, whoever household was open, we would run in there, but nobody would talk about what was going on. Nobody would say, "Are you guys okay?" Nobody would say, "Oh, what are you feeling?" Nobody would say, "Oh, this is what's happening." It was just like when after the police came and everything was done, we would be shipped right back up to go finish playing. It was almost like it didn't happen. And that's when
Yeah.
I knew we had a problem.
Yeah. Someone said, what's that? I can't see the top of that. Um, the
All
self-hatred in blacks
natural.
was caused, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
self-hatred in blacks was caused by white colonization and supremacy. Yeah,
Yes.
it was. But we're gonna get to that definitely. but
Yes, yes. And
but uh,
no, I was gonna say that's All Natural 26. That is my sister who is a licensed clinical health professional. So
oh hey sis, is that the one who was in the play with you or another sister?
oh no, this is another sister.
Oh, okay, hey sis. Uh, no, but you talked about the violence in the black neighborhood. Um, And I know you're a very educated sister. You know about history and so forth. You know
Hmm.
that black folks did not always treat each other like that on a
Right,
wide scale. We
right.
used to have some type of semblance of unity. Um, we had a love and respect for each other at one point.
Hmm.
When I hear about what happened in my grandparents' young days and great grandparents' days and stuff like that. There was a time when
Hmm.
black people looked out for each other and cared about each other.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and you didn't always hear about somebody being shot down in the black neighborhood every day. It didn't
Right.
happen like that. So that was a progression of things that happened, um, especially after integration.
Hmm.
It started to happen
Hmm.
because before integration, our people we had more of our own.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
had our own businesses. Every neighborhood in the every business in the neighborhood was
Yep.
owned by us. Nowadays, you're hard pressed to find a black owned business in a black neighborhood. Everybody else owns businesses in our neighborhood except us. Asians, Arabs, everybody except us. I mean, I know that there's still some black owned businesses in black neighborhoods, but there's not a whole lot.
Right.
Um,
Right.
you know, and so we also know about the war on drugs and so forth and how they put that into motion to
Hmm.
set us up for the
Hmm.
drug stuff and then turned around and declared a war on drugs so they could
Hmm.
then arrest black men and throw black men in jail
Hmm.
for nonviolent drug offenses and
Right. Right.
give them like life sentences and so forth, while at the same time somebody else from another race can commit murder and get out in a few years. But
Right.
now we got black folks sitting in jail for a minor drug offense, a nonviolent drug offense, and
Hmm.
now you got people
Right.
making money off of it,
Whew. Yes.
making money off of it. The government has capitalized on it now.
Yep.
And still you got black people sitting in jail for nonviolent drug offenses.
Yeah.
Um, so when did you start to notice all the different mental issues going on with our people and start to notice the cause and effect of it? And not just looking at them and saying, look at
Hmm.
them just acting crazy, acting wild and mean. What
Hmm.
made you realize that it was a cause for that and not them just acting up, not stuff people just acting up?
I think when I got to high school, I knew it was something more, but it wasn't until I hit college when I actually started studying psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a highlight about why it takes so long for African Americans to even know about mental health, because we're disproportionate and in resources, we're underserved, we're underpopulated. So that makes a lot of sense why it didn't click for me until I got almost 17, 18, 19 years old. And I remember sitting in classes and I'm like, oh, some of
Mm-hmm.
this stuff reminds me of some of the people back in my neighborhood. The
Yeah.
PTSD, from hearing loud noises, Some people may have bedwetting.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I got to college and I really started to have the resources, the
Hmm.
and teachers who will pour into me because not saying it's the bad thing, but I went to a all Catholic girls high school, and I don't
Okay.
remember any talks about mental health.
Right. Okay.
It's either pray and seek God, and I don't remember ever hearing about mental health
Hmm.
in like high school. So it wasn't until I really got to college and I started to really have access to more resources that I understood people in my neighborhood, people who I talked to, even myself, have gone through anxiety, have gone through
Hmm.
moments of other mental health not issues but illnesses.
Yeah, I deal with anxiety. I
Mhm.
do have a level of post-traumatic stress disorder myself.
Mhm.
I know that I do, but a lot of black people suffer from it and don't know it. But I have it because I have dealt with things like police brutality and so forth.
Mhm.
Um, because I've talked about that. I'm not going to talk about it on here, but you know about it.
Mhm.
You probably heard about it already.
Right.
Uh, I I've had more than one encounter with that. I've had other experiences dealing with racist doctors and stuff like that. Um,
Mhm.
so I have a form of post-traumatic stress disorder, and I have dealt with anxiety and depression and stuff like that. Like when I was doing Ain't Misbehaving, when I was in Ain't Misbehaving back in 2018.
Mhm.
Um, One of the performances, I was fine right up until time to like 5 minutes before, time to go on stage.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden this feeling came over me, you
Wow.
know, uh, like, why am I here right now? I don't want to be here.
Mhm.
Um, but I felt great before that. For 5 minutes
Mhm.
before the show, this feeling came over me. I went out on stage to do the show, and
Mhm.
I basically had an out of body experience. I
Wow.
could see, I could see myself performing. I was like on the stage watching myself perform, critiquing myself, saying, like picking
Right.
myself apart, like saying, "You sound horrible right now." And I was like, that's what I was saying to myself.
Right.
And
Mhm.
after the show was over, I talked to the director. I'm like, "Did you notice anything was wrong with me?" He said, "No." He said, "Tonight was one of your greatest performances." I'm like,
Wow.
"Really?"
Mm.
Because I literally, when I say I had an out of body experience, I did. I was like on stage watching myself while I was
Mhm.
performing,
Mhm.
and I was in my head the whole time I was performing. Uh,
Mhm.
and like I said, this feeling just hit me 5 minutes before it was time to go on stage. Um,
Mhm.
it just came out of nowhere. A lot of people, when they hear about depression, they think depression is just sitting around sad all the time, but that's not
No,
what it
not at
is.
all.
Sometimes that stuff can just come from out of nowhere. You know.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Would you want to say something about depression?
Yes. I wanted to highlight something that you actually mentioned. You
Hmm.
talked about how you had negative interactions with the police, and it's caused
Hmm.
PTSD and other mental illnesses. And a study that I looked at, it says negative police interactions have been associated with worse mental health among Black men. And it led to elevated stress, PTSD, anxiety, and it led to mistrust in those neighborhoods where there were more police interactions. And
Hmm.
I'm glad you actually highlighted that. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, because you know, one of my interactions, I'm not going to get into the whole story about when it
Mm-hmm.
happened. When I came home from a rehearsal and went to go get something to eat,
Mm-hmm.
two blocks away from where I live at, and just because this cop wanted to fill a quota of arresting innocent Black men, I just happened to be there. And I was speaking to a friend of mine that was outside of this carryout. All I wanted to do was go pick up my food and go home, but I didn't get to do that. I ended up spending the night in jail. But anyway, I suffered from a brain injury as a child. And at this time in my young adulthood, I was on a seizure medication. And I told this cop that I was on seizure medication and I didn't have my medicine with me. And that's when he took both of his hands and grabbed me around my throat.
Wow.
He took both of his hands and violently grabbed me around my throat. There was a time I couldn't talk about this without like getting really emotional, and
Right.
because I was traumatized by that. And when he grabbed me around my throat, his exact words were, "I'll make you have a fucking seizure if you don't do what I say." That's exactly what he said. he cussed at me like that and put those handcuffs on me, and I had to go through that whole humiliation thing and being at the police station and having to drop my drawers and do all that, bend over and stuff like that. I had to go through all of that, all because he wanted to fill a quota of arresting innocent black men, and I was traumatized by that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and for a long time, whenever I would try to go to sleep, I would wake up. It's not like that anymore, but a lot of times when I would go to sleep, I would when I would close my eyes, I would see those pale white hands going around my throat. And I tried to press charges against him, but of course they gave me the runaround, to protect him.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Well, thank you
but
for telling your story again. I know you said you didn't want to
yeah,
talk about it, but thank you because that takes
yeah,
courage.
people probably get tired of hearing it, but because I talk about it on Facebook. I
Mm-hmm.
posted it on Facebook, and a lot of times it gets cricket. People don't say anything about it when I
Mm-hmm.
address what I've been through, So, but they'll
Mm-hmm.
jump on my post about other stuff that they want to argue about. But when I post about stuff like that, people don't have
Mm-hmm.
anything to say. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but that's the nature of people today. So you want to serve underprivileged and underserved communities, uh,
Mm-hmm.
specifically where our people are, to help, heal that self-hatred in our people. Because one of the things about how deep that self-hatred runs, a lot of people don't
Mm-hmm.
realize. Have you ever heard of the doll test before?
Yes. Yes.
And you know that it was done a long, long time ago, before
Yes. Yes.
before either one of us was born, like back in the 50s or whatever, and
Right.
and and then it was done again in the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the same result.
Yeah.
They take a black doll and a white doll, and they put these dolls in front of these beautiful little black babies, these black children. And when they ask the black children which doll is the good one, and the nice one, and the smart one, and the pretty one, the black children pick the white doll as being good, pretty, and smart. And
Mm-hmm.
then when they ask
Mm-hmm.
them which doll is bad and ugly and dumb, all the negative attributes, they say the black doll, which
Mm-hmm.
says to me that subconsciously black children are growing up feeling less than, feeling less than, and thinking bad of themselves and thinking that they're less than Caucasian people, which is not
Mm-hmm.
cool. That's how come we
Mm-hmm.
have to be very specific. We have to be very
Mm-hmm.
specific to teach our children to love the skin they're in and to be proud of that heritage. There's nothing
Right.
wrong with that. Everybody else teaches their children their real history and stuff like that. But a lot of black people hold off from teaching our real history to their children because they quote unquote don't want them to have a bad feeling about Caucasian or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even about that, you know. But it's more important that we love us first.
Right.
And today you see a manifestation of that self-hatred in a lot of black adults.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any ideas or strategies of how you may go about healing that? Because that's something that you have to be very strategic with. You have to
Yes.
you have to trick our people into healing them,
Mm-hmm.
healing the mind and reprogramming the mind.
um, I think what I've really been seeing, and I love to see other black mental health therapists and licensed
Hmm.
clinicians. I'm on their pages looking because I see a lot of affirmation work that's happening,
Okay.
and I think you can start. Like I said, if I was to try something with my child, I make sure that I tell her that she's beautiful,
Right.
that she's smart, that
Hmm.
she's loved. Just starting with those
Yeah.
positive affirmations. Now, one of my colleagues, she has a book but teaches, in not in baby form, but in like toddler form or children book that teaches her history other than just Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks. And I say that not as a downfall or to downplay their accomplishments
Right.
and achievements, but to say that we have a plethora of
Well,
examples that we can
yeah,
use.
it's important to teach our history before slavery as
Mm-hmm.
well. Don't
Right.
don't just talk about slavery and talk about after slavery. We need to talk
Yeah.
about before slavery too. The fact
Yes.
that most of the great inventions in this world that make the
From
quality of life easy were invented by black people.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get credit for it, but
Right.
they were invented by us, like including this device that we're on now. I don't know if you're on a laptop or a phone. I'm on a phone right now,
I'm
but
on a phone too.
huh?
I'm on a phone as
Okay.
well.
Well, well, either one. Internet, cell phone, both
Mm-hmm.
were invented by black people,
Mm-hmm.
including the original telephone and so many other inventions,
Mm-hmm.
including the toilet and stuff like that. That
Right.
all was invented by black people.
Yes.
All types of things. GPS was invented by a black woman. Um, all types of things that make the quality of life easier were invented by black people, but yet someone else has control over it. I'm not going to go there, but
Mm-hmm.
like the internet was invented by a black man, I believe, a Nigerian brother or Ethiopian brother, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know who controls the internet?
Mm-hmm.
Not not our people right now. So we had to change that. So yeah, I want to go further. I want to go further into your strategy
Um,
uh,
so
about
about,
how
I
you're
mean,
going to
mm-hmm.
reprogram the mind of our people to get us to love us.
Right. I can't really, um, I can't really reprogram just with just little stuff. But that's why I try to tell everybody I talk to, therapy works. If you can't do
Hmm.
therapy, research, because on the rise right now is self care. You mean,
Yes.
and I'm asking, when did you learn about self care? Because a lot of people didn't. We didn't know what self care was. We didn't
Hmm.
participate in self care because we were so busy being strong
Right.
and resilient and being powerful. But we can be powerful and still have a day to ourselves. Be powerful
Hmm.
and relax, and go to therapy. Yes,
Right.
therapy works. Trust me, and I'm a
Yes.
testimony to that.
Hmm.
So, when was the first
I
time you heard about self care?
when's the first time I heard about it?
Yes, or even participated in it, because it seems like it's a new phenomenon at the moment.
Well, actually, years
Mm-hmm.
ago, at
Mm-hmm.
the very beginning of my adulthood, I did end up going to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It really didn't help me all that much.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against any other race, but
Mm-hmm.
the therapist that the hospital had assigned to me was a white woman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it really didn't help me. I feel it's important that we as black people, especially what we deal with in this country, that we have qualified black therapists,
Yes.
affirming black therapists.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
there's some things I can't talk to a Caucasian about.
Of
Um,
course.
nor do I really want to discuss certain things with them
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like some things should stay between us. So yeah, it was.
I
I've
mean,
had therapy, but I have not been to therapy in years. But I have thought
mhm.
about it. I just have to find
Yeah.
a black therapist that I'm comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with that I want to. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe therapy works. It definitely therapy does work. It depends on who it is. So.
I mean that
Yeah.
I take it as you said, like, how you had the experience with your Caucasian therapist, and
Mm,
um for a lot of people it wouldn't work. And I would say back in the day, I would say multicultural counseling, as you said, how long ago that it happened. It wasn't where it is now, but
mm-hmm.
what I would tell people is that you don't have to stick to one therapist.
Right.
You find something that fits for you, and
Mm-hmm.
find a therapist, because they should be able to bring up or introduce or have access to the internet like we do.
Yeah.
And I say that to say that if your counselor is uncomfortable about bringing up race or policing or things that happen to the African American community, then yes, it may be time to find another counselor, because
Yeah.
breaching is very important in therapy.
Yeah. And for me, it's not even if they are comfortable talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that bond with another race.
And that's fine. And
And
that's fine.
I need to have a black therapist
Yeah.
for that reason because just like some of our people feel like we have to include other races in on everything that we do. And I feel it's important because of what does go on in this country, um, that we have our own spaces. We need to have our own
Yes.
spaces as black
Yes.
people where we can come
Yes.
together and talk and help heal each other without
Yes.
interfering. It's very
Yes.
important.
Yeah, it
Definitely.
is, and I most definitely agree. That's why I like, I'm always gonna bring up social media, because that's what's in right now, and things are in like Black Boy Joy and Black Girl Magic. They are our sacred spaces. Even Black Twitter, we get information from there. We learn about
Mm-hmm.
things that we didn't learn. Those are sacred spaces that we created out of trauma because if we talk about the risk of addressing the crisis of Black youth suicide. I mean, and research shows that suicide became the second leading cause of death in Black children ages 10 to 14, and the third leading cause of death in Black adolescents 15 to 19. That is alarming. That is an alarming rate,
Right.
especially in our young boys and girls, who we want them to grow up into smart, healthy, um,
Yes.
African Americans who are leaders, who are in the community helping. And so when I see
Mhm.
things like, again, Black Boy Joy and Black Girl Magic, I see potential
Yes,
of a rise, for our sacred space for
definitely.
healing.
I totally agree. I mean, because you never know what somebody is going through. We have to
Right.
be able to reach out to each other. I mean, in this
Mm-hmm.
time and age of everybody texting, nobody wants to talk.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm the type of person who I'd rather pick up a phone and have a conversation. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after about the fourth or fifth text, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, let's just pick up the phone and talk to each other already. I want to hear a
Right.
voice. I get
Right.
tired of typing back and forth. That I need that interaction. I want to hear a voice,
Right.
that personal thing. But people are so cold nowadays and so quick to cut everything off. You know.
Right.
Um,
Right. I mean, and even like you said, even in that, texting can be misinterpreted. It doesn't give a
oh
correct
yeah.
tone. In
Mm-hmm.
therapy, you want to hear your counselor's tone. You want to see their body language
Inflections,
because it shows,
vocal
yeah,
inflections, and all that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you can feel as comfortable as possible in the counseling process and build that therapeutic alliance that is needed for a healthy journey in therapy.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That made a hit. Naeem Freeman, if you're watching, you might want to cast her also on Black Therapy as another therapist. Anyway,
Oh,
well,
thank you. I'm not there yet, but thank you.
Well, still you can still play it as an actress. I mean, Black Therapy is a web series by a brother here in Baltimore
Mm-hmm.
that I'm in the cast of that. You
Mm.
know, and it's actually set in the quote unquote hood. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I feel it's an important show. And when he first
Mm-hmm.
asked me about being in it, of course, I had 1,000 questions for him because
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, intentional about what I do as a
Yes.
writer and as an actor. So I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
know certain things like, does this like really degrade Black people? Does it degrade Black women? Because I don't
Mm-hmm.
really want to do that, stuff like that. But I do understand that you have to sometimes with films or movies, you have to show the ugly side
Mm-hmm.
to get to the
Yeah.
healing.
Yeah.
You can't just always just show the pretty and the healing side. You got to show, the
Mm-hmm.
progression and how they got there. So
Right.
that's very important. So I think it's an important series, and I'm looking forward to see what he does with it. I'm always
Right.
about supporting Black arts and other Black artists and so forth.
Of course.
Definitely. Um, so uh, that's what I want to ask you. So, have you ever thought about doing any writing?
Writing, I don't know. And let me just say this. I journal my own thoughts, but I never thought about writing and, producing what I write or giving it to somebody else about what I write. But
Hmm.
I did like, well, in undergrad, I did like, and my teacher really inspired me to do more creative writing. And that
Hmm.
was a good class because I would just freely write, talk about things, that people didn't want to talk about. And that was back
Right.
in 2010 and 2010, between 2010 and 2014. So
Yeah,
you can
because
see about the age period.
it's very important,
Mm-hmm.
'cause you probably do have a great writing talent. I got a feeling. And it's very important that we control our narrative and put
Right.
stories out there and help our people produce these stories.
Mm-hmm.
Because people say that films are just films or TV shows are just TV shows, and that's not true. They have a
Mm-hmm.
very big influence on how people think and what people do.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to be control. We need to be in control of how we are portrayed out there
Yes.
and so
Yes.
forth.
I definitely agree because again, it goes back, into I think you guys brought it up on the King Talk about, seeing, hip hop, you see like gangster rap and things of that
Right.
nature. And so if the narrative is like only black people only could be hoodlums and
Mm-hmm.
thugs and
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature, and that black people are cold hearted, as we see on some television shows, then that's all we
Mm-hmm.
grow up to knowing. We don't know that we could be something greater than what we could even imagine. But if it's not being written, if it's not on our screens, because what we see is what reflects back into us. We regurgitate it out, and that's what
Right.
we essentially become if we don't have that foundation of family
Yeah,
and
because
of
when
other
they
resources.
and see, people need to realize that that whole thing was very intentional, the gangster rap. Because
Mm-hmm.
when rap first started, it wasn't like that. When they
Mm-mm.
first started rap, it was very conscious and uplifting lyrics to the black community.
Mm-hmm.
But those who run the record companies, the record executives, who don't look like you and me,
Mm-hmm.
they pushed for
Mm-hmm.
the quote unquote gangster rap. They no longer wanted to put money behind the positive, uplifting, conscious rap.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so they stopped supporting the rappers who wanted to do, um, the positive stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
they pushed and promoted the quote unquote gangster rap, having us call each other names on record and
Mm-hmm.
referring to women as bees and hoes and calling each other the N word left and right. Black people
Mm-hmm.
didn't always do that on record. We didn't always call each other a bunch of niggas this and nigga that on record. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't always do that.
Mm-hmm.
That was intentional,
Mm-hmm.
um, to help promote and quote unquote glamorize, you know, the dysfunction in the black community. The
Mm-hmm.
dysfunction in our community is very profitable,
Yes,
especially for
most
other,
definitely.
especially for other people outside of our
Look at
race.
Love and Hip Hop.
Oh God, do I have to?
I,
You
I'm just using
you
an
can't you can't
example.
pay me. I look. I tried to watch one of those shows, Love and Hip Hop. One
Mm-hmm.
time, I couldn't get through 15 minutes. I watched one after the commercial break.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I can't do this. I just can't.
I mean, like you said, and then you see so many people like Josh, and I'm naming them because I used to watch it. I don't watch it anymore. Um,
Mhm.
like Jocelyn, and so many people who've been on the show said they regret being on the show
Right.
because it portrayed them in a negative light, that it
Hmm.
blocked them from certain opportunities after, because you were only known for cussing, you were only known for
Yeah.
throwing drinks. And so
Hmm.
sometimes we face the negative repercussions of our lifestyle being profitable to the
Right.
expense of what, you know?
To the expense of the well-being and the survival of our people.
Right.
That's what it's about. It's to destroy us.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an attack. I noticed the attack. Some people don't, but I do, and other people do. That there is an attack on black love. There's
Mm.
a definite attack on black love. There's an effort to keep black men and black women at each other's throats.
Mm.
We often see black men and black women attacking each other on social media.
Mm-hmm.
We see black women attacking other black women. We see black men
Mm-hmm.
attacking other black men.
Mm-hmm.
But guess who we let off the hook? I'm not going to go there, but you know who we let off the hook. Anyway, we stay going at each other. We will
Mm-hmm.
forgive those other people for whatever they do to us, but we tend to hold grudges against our own people, and for petty stuff at that. We don't show that same compassion and forgiveness to our own people. We quick to cancel our own people. I hate cancel
Right.
culture. I hate that cancel culture because it's
Yeah,
like,
cancel
it,
culture is very problematic sometimes.
yeah, they talk about what's toxic. That's toxic. Cancel culture is toxic because if you dare to have a mind of your own or an opinion
Mm-hmm.
of your own
Mm-hmm.
outside of there's they don't want to talk to you anymore. They want to deem you as a bad person because you have a
Mhm.
different opinion on something.
Mhm.
Whereas with me, I don't demand that all of my friends agree with me on every single thing.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
because I don't agree with any one person on everything.
Mhm.
Okay, you're not going to agree with anybody on everything, and so
Mhm.
even if we don't agree on everything, we're still friends. I'm still going to root for you and support you. But a lot
Mhm.
of these people nowadays, they're not the same way. If you dare to have a mind of your own, they don't want to
Mhm.
talk to you. They don't want to show you any support. You know, they
Mhm.
they won't say congratulations to you if you achieve anything. Um,
Mhm.
like for instance, my film, The Eternal Extra, got into a few film festivals, and
Yes.
there's a lot.
Yes.
Yes, and it won a couple of awards, but
Sure
there's a
did.
lot of people that I know personally, some who I have performed with, and I thought we were cool, that don't come through and say congratulations to me, won't even click like on anything. Um, but some of those people will show up to argue about something.
Mhm.
Like for instance, it's something that I posted last night. Last night, as a matter of fact, there
Mhm.
was an article of a young sister, like she was running track and field,
Mhm.
and the headline of the article says that young female athlete says she doesn't want to compete with
Mhm.
biological male.
Mhm.
I think you click like on that. I think I
Yeah.
saw you click like on that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, and I knew it before I posted it that was going to happen. People
Mhm.
who haven't said anything to me literally in years, people who have been on my
Mhm.
friends list for years, like 5, 6 years, who haven't said anything to me for years, popped
Wow.
up on that post. They
Wow.
popped up on that post to come at me because they felt defensive or they were
Yeah.
in their personal feelings. When all I said was on the post, I didn't attack anybody. I did
You
not attack.
didn't.
I did
You
not attack
didn't.
transgender people or anything.
You did not.
All I said was when the like I said, the article said young female athlete doesn't want to compete, with biological males, and I said she shouldn't have to. That's
Mhm.
all I said. And she shouldn't have to. And I said what I said. People jumped
Yeah.
on my post with attitude.
Yeah.
Somebody I blocked because they came on my post like really aggressive and started cussing and everything. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not see my 5, 10 years ago, my patience was better. My patience was better with going back and forth with people. I don't
Mhm.
have patience anymore to go back and forth with people and stuff like that.
Right. Right.
Um, and so if you come on my post trying to be argumentative with me, think you're going to badger me into agreeing with you, it's not happening.
Mhm.
And if I say let's agree to disagree and you keep running your mouth, see, people think I just block people. I'm block happy. I will
Mm.
say to people, let's agree to disagree. We're not going to
You
agree
sure
on this.
did.
And they keep running their mouth. They'll keep running their mouth on my post. And so I block them because
Mhm.
I want to drop it and they want to keep going on with it. Like they're going to make
Mhm.
me keep talking about it. And I don't
Mhm.
like that. And then you have those people who, if they don't like something you post, they'll they act like 5 year olds, or that's maybe insulting to 5 years old 5 year olds, but they act like big
Mhm.
babies, or that's insulting to babies too. And they'll jump on your post and call you out your name.
Mhm.
They'll jump on your post and call you out your name. Now, if you jump on my post and call me out my name, ain't
Mhm.
nothing for us to talk about. Because once you call me out my name, I'm not going to want to say anything else to you. We're not going to have a
Mhm.
conversation once you, because I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I'm not going to do the name calling back and forth. That's not me. I'm not going to do the
Mhm.
name calling back and forth. I'm
Right.
just going to block you and be done with it.
Right.
You know.
I mean, because essentially, like you said, stated in the post, you didn't say anything negative. The fact was that the young lady did not want to race against women or, like you said, trans women because she
Hmm.
didn't feel comfortable. And I saw a lot of support actually on your post too from people who agreed and saying because the trans community have
Yeah.
worked so hard to have their own community, let them have their own things. And I
Hmm.
agree. The
Right.
trans community has been through so much, and I'm still learning and researching so that
Hmm.
I can always be correct in using terms. And
Right.
so, and a lot of people said like, um, it's time for them to have their own space because they
Hmm.
earned it, they deserved it. They've been hidden so long. It's
Right.
time,
Hmm.
to do such.
Yeah. Because I never. went at anybody. I never put down trans people, transgender people. I never did that. All I said is that the young sister, the young lady, should not have to compete against biological males if they wanted to. Now, one person jumped on my post and said, define biological male.
Yeah, I
And I'm
saw
like,
that as well.
I'm not doing this. I said, I'm not doing
Mhm.
this. Because
Because
I know that I knew
right,
where that was going. I knew where that was going to lead.
right, and
If I said my definition of a biological male, then he was going to come back at me with something, and we were going to go back and forth, back and forth. I wasn't in the mood for that, so I'm like,
mm-mm,
I'm not even answering that question. You
right.
know, what
Mhm.
were you going
I
to say?
No, no, I would say I definitely agree because again, you didn't say it was anything wrong.
Hmm.
All you said was that they should have their own space and that the young lady shouldn't have to go against, someone in that
Because
category.
there, yeah, because there's debate about, you know, the fairness of it, the
Mm,
muscle mass. Do
mm,
transgenders when they take these hormones, do the ones who go from male to female, do they lose
mm-hmm,
muscle mass and so forth, stuff like that?
mm-hmm,
Is it going to be fair? Will it be a
mm-hmm,
fair competition? A lot of people say
mm-hmm,
no. Some people try to say
mm-hmm,
yes. I don't
mm-hmm.
think that. Well, I know that they do lose muscle mass after a while, but it's not something that
Yeah.
happens overnight.
Mm-hmm,
It takes a while. So
mm-hmm,
my thing is, can you have some muscle bound person
mm-hmm,
who is identified as a male yesterday, and then today all of a sudden they say they're a girl, they're a female,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
can they just join the female team just like that, without having to go through anything to try to make things more even or fair? Like I said, I just think that they should have their own league. I'm not putting anybody down. I don't want anybody
mm-hmm,
coming at me on any crazy stuff.
mm-hmm,
I'm not putting down transgender people. I
mm-hmm,
respect all black people. So
mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I agree. I mean, I haven't done that much research into the body mass or body differences,
Hmm.
and I don't know uh, the requirements. Let's put it that way, because I don't want to speak on something that I'm not really specialized into.
Yeah, I
No.
looked into it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's definitely a different. And
It's a
one of my,
different.
yeah, and one of my friends who, um, the church that I used to be involved in years ago, he came through in the post by the name of Gerald Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also a singer, mainly gospel and stuff like that, and he's a musician. And he came through and said that he also used to coach um, high school track, both male and female track.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Mm-hmm.
said that he definitely saw a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, it's all about fairness. You
Mm-hmm.
can't you can't have some stronger person who was born male competing against you know a female who may not be as strong physically uh, like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It has to be made fair, and I don't see
Yeah.
anything wrong with them having their own league.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not being dismissive, that's not being derogatory, because quite frankly, I feel like when black people had their own league, we hear about the Negro League and so forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I personally think that was a good thing, and I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
be mad. I wouldn't be mad if we had our own leagues now as black people. So it is
Mm-hmm.
what it is.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I definitely agree with you on that part. I mean, because when you think about it, the let me just put the LGBT plus community is a subculture. I mean, the different like gay, bisexual, transgender,
Mm-hmm.
transsexual. They all are a subculture of the whole community. And so it's different things for each community where you may fit in here. It's like you want to have inclusiveness though, and
Yeah.
that's
And
what you're trying to say. You're not saying you're trying to ban anybody from anything.
hmm
Um, you
Now,
know,
I personally,
mm-hmm,
um, I don't identify with LGBTQIA and all
mm-hmm,
that.
mm-hmm,
Uh, I prefer the term same gender loving
mm-hmm.
because it was created by a black man by the name of Dr. Cleo Manago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I'm sure you've heard of James Baldwin before, the legendary writer James
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes. Yes.
Now, he did a interview with someone many, many years ago, where
Mhm.
he talked about the terminology of gay.
Mhm.
And he essentially said in this interview that, and he was open about his sexual orientation, but he essentially said in this interview, that he didn't see gay as being something necessary for black people to use to identify themselves as. He saw gay as a way of Caucasian homosexuals, um, to niche out their own, uh, they niche out their own carving of having white supremacy on their own.
Mm. Wow.
Uh, and he didn't see it as something necessary for black people. So essentially,
Mhm.
he saw it as white. And when they first started, this is something that
Mhm.
I've learned. This is something that I've learned over the past 10 years,
Uh-huh.
from Dr. Cleo Monago and some other
Mhm.
people, that when they first started the quote unquote gay movement,
Mhm.
they didn't even want black people at the table with them, and they did things to keep black people out of their clubs and so forth. Um,
Yeah.
and there's this documentary that we watched with this group called BMX, Black Men's Exchange. They also have a
Mhm.
Black Women's Exchange now too, where black people come together to talk. Um, and yeah, if you want to, I'll put you in touch if you want to know. But
Mhm.
we watched this documentary that was called Flag War, FLAG.
Mhm.
Flag Wars. And in this documentary, you see a whole lot of Caucasian LGBTQ people involved in this documentary. It's based on gentrification
Mhm.
and, where white folks come into black neighborhoods, where the neighborhood is already occupied, but they will say, I want that neighborhood. It
Wow.
don't matter. It don't matter who. It doesn't matter that black folks are already living in those homes. They just know
Mhm.
that they want that. They want that, and they don't care what they got to do to get black people out of there. So that's why they make sure black people couldn't get, loans to fix up their homes and stuff like that. Uh,
Mhm.
so I bring that up to show that when you talk about gentrification and how white folks come into the neighborhood, that's not just white heterosexuals. That's
Mhm.
Caucasian homosexuals and stuff too, who participated in helping to get black people kicked out of their homes. Uh,
Mhm.
and so that's why I don't identify as with LGBTQ. Another reason is
Mhm.
that every time I turn around, they keep adding a letter, um, and I don't want to be tied to all of that or associated with all that.
Uh-huh.
I need something that's affirming to me. I can't stand that term queer. I hate queer. I hate that term.
Mhm. Mhm.
I hate the term
Mhm.
queer. And I really can't stand when black people call themselves a black queer. That was a British
Mhm.
insult. That
Mhm.
word was a British insult, and I don't identify with that at all. I'm about using terms that are black affirming, and like I said, same gender loving came from a black man, Dr. Cleo Monago. Um, you know, he's a brilliant man, and he speaks up for black people, uh, and he's about bringing all black people together, not just
Mhm.
one segment of black people. He's for all black people, like I'm for all black people. Doesn't matter your sexual orientation, doesn't matter your religious belief or not having religious belief. Because we tend to judge people by stuff like that. Like Malcolm X, for instance. Malcolm X did a speech called, which I'm very familiar with Malcolm X because I played Malcolm X before
You
several
did.
times, and I've had to research him, and I feel a
Mhm.
connection to him because
Mhm.
he had an unwavering dedication to our people. Um, because the FBI, there's a recording of the FBI trying to get him
Mhm.
to, be a sellout. They tried to
Mhm.
bribe him, and he essentially laughed in their faces and
Mhm.
said, "You must take me for a fool."
Mhm.
He was totally dedicated, to our people. I kind of forgot something I was going to say, but
No, it's okay. It's okay.
what was I saying? It was something important though. Um, why did I bring up Malcolm X? Oh yeah, the speech, the ballot,
Mhm.
the ballot or the bullet. Ballot or
Mm.
the Bullet. There's a speech called The Ballot or the Bullet. And in that speech, he talks about the fact that he's a Muslim.
Mhm.
And although he's a Muslim, he's a quote unquote black nationalist, which means
Mhm.
that he's for all black people, no matter what your religion is, or even if you don't have a religion. Um, and so he said, when we come together to try to build for our people, we
Mhm.
need to leave that subject outside the door because it's not about putting anybody's religion down. But he
Mhm.
said we should leave that topic outside the door because when we start talking about religion and so forth, we
Mhm.
start to arguing, we start to
Mhm.
arguing and disagreeing, and we get stuck there arguing. We get
Mhm.
stuck arguing and we don't make any progress. So that's why he said we should leave that outside the door when we're trying to build something for all of our people. Like
Mhm.
even for instance, with quote unquote self-proclaimed atheists, okay,
Mhm.
people say, like somebody made a post, would you date an atheist? And I'm gonna keep it real.
Always.
So um some people want to say that somebody who's an atheist is evil. That's not true.
Mm-mm.
I've met some brothers and sisters who are self-proclaimed atheists who are actually very loving, giving, caring people.
Mhm.
And by the same token, you have some people who sit up in church every Sunday who are
Mhm.
nasty and evil as hell. Uh,
Yeah.
so being a good person or a good natured person is
Mhm.
not, contingent on whether or not you say you believe or not. Um, you know, I'm not putting down anybody's religion or anything like that. I believe in a higher power.
Mhm.
But I look at things differently because we've been taught to look at our higher power as an outside entity, and I don't see
Mhm.
it that way. That
Mhm.
spirit, that energy out that I call the creator,
Mhm.
people call God, that spirit, that energy lives inside of us. It's
Mhm.
not an outside entity. It's something that lives
Mhm.
within us. And if more of our people was in tune to that, I feel like we would be better off. But they got us looking out here searching for God out there when
Mhm.
that spirit is inside of us all the time. And
Mhm.
if we were more in tune with that, I feel like we would be better off
Mhm.
if we were in tune with the fact that that spirit, because it says that the breath of life was breathed into us, right?
Mhm.
So if that
Mhm.
breath of life was breathed into us, that means that that spirit, that energy,
Mhm.
that power is in us
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
not out there. We're
Mhm.
taught to look for that spirit of God out there, and it's in us.
Mhm. Mhm. And my background, I love God,
Hmm.
everything like that. But you will never personally see me attacking anyone on their beliefs, and I'm not gonna sit up
Hmm.
here and like, oh, you're wrong. 'Cause that's not how I am.
Right.
Because I look
Me
at your
neither.
morals. I look at
Hmm.
how you act, how you treat somebody. Because, like you said, you could be in church all your life, and you can be disrespectful, you can be
Hmm.
nasty, you can be rude
Hmm.
and mean, and
Hmm.
that's not. And if you believe in God or believe that God lives within you, and if God lives inside of you, like you said,
Hmm.
then how can you be nasty? How can you be rude?
Hmm.
How can you be mean? Now, mind you, our flesh, we have moments where we are nasty, but it
Hmm.
shouldn't be your persona or your
Right.
personality. There should be no judgment. And I can bring up from how I believe in God. There is no condemnation, which means I can't judge you. I
Hmm.
can call you out to be accountable.
Hmm.
Like you can call me out and say, Kim, I thought this was wrong. This is not of your character. That's calling me out to be accountable. You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Hmm.
so it's a huge difference. So I thank you for highlighting that, exactly that. For people who do, like you said, believe that, that spirit lives inside, and when God breathes into the body, you should carry around the same spirit of your creator. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Yeah, and some people think that I'm a bad person because I believe in black empowerment and putting black people first. But every other
Hmm.
race puts their people first.
They sure
Uh,
do.
and nobody complains about that. It only seems to be a problem when black people talk about putting black people first because they don't
It's
want us
scary.
they don't want us to put us first because
Mm-hmm.
they know if we put us first, they won't have any more power over us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and you know, I'm not sitting around. I've been accused by some black people of hating Caucasians. I'm not sitting around hating anybody. First of all, as I've said on many occasions, it takes energy. It takes
Yeah.
energy to hate. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I'm not wasting that energy on them. My
Mm-hmm.
energy, my energy is used on loving us, loving black
Mm-hmm.
people, trying to
Mm-hmm.
build us up because I don't want another generation of black people
Right.
to grow
Right.
up living under this racist system. So if I want to be
Right.
free from this system, it's not about them. It's about
Mm-hmm.
us wanting to be free and be protected because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of our people have become comfortable with with having that conversation with our
Mm-hmm.
teenage children, particularly our teenage sons. You know what
Mm-hmm.
conversation I'm talking about?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Telling them, if they run into the police, make sure you act like this
Yeah.
and you stand, make sure you as polite as
Mm-hmm.
possible so you'll make it home alive, hopefully. And sometimes you can be as polite and cooperative as
And
possible and
still
they
end up
still end up dead or badly injured.
incarcerated.
And I'm not comfortable or happy with the fact that some black people are okay with still having that conversation with our children because me and some other people have likened our
Mm-hmm.
relationship with this country as to being an abusive relationship.
Oh, most
And
definitely.
and black people we are the abused spouse. Now, and no, in a normally when somebody's in an abusive relationship,
Mm-hmm.
you would tell that abused person to get away from that abuser,
Mm-hmm.
not to stick around to keep seeing if they're going to change or not. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you wait too long, you might end up not here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but we choose to stay around and fight because
Mm-hmm.
personally, look, some people feel like the stuff that I've been through, almost dying from having these racist doctors use me as a guinea pig without my permission and trying to kill me, and I almost died from that. There's stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, and dealing with racist police. Some black folks
Mm-hmm.
feel like I should use that to fight racism, but
Mm-hmm.
racism is not my fight. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't create racism. That's not what I
Mm-hmm.
was called to do. That's not what was spoken to my spirit to do. I was
Mm-hmm.
spoke what was spoken in my spirit to do was to use my gifts and talents to do what I can to heal our people, to empower
Mm-hmm.
our people,
Mm-hmm.
not to keep fighting racism. Because
Mm-hmm.
frankly, I don't think racism is ever going to go away. To tell you the truth, I don't feel like it is. I know
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to say something. Definitely going to let you say that. I want to hear more from you. Because like there was this case. It was
Mm-hmm.
in Plano, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I posted about it. I don't know if you saw it. There was this young black boy in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he had been being harassed. He was going to basically a white school. He was being
Oh,
harassed
okay.
by
Mm-hmm.
white students, and he had been being harassed for a whole year, which she reported it to the school, and the school just brushed it off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these same white students that had been harassing him for over a year, they invite him over for a slumber party. And his mother allows him to go. I don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So at this so-called slumber party, they beat him. They beat him and they forced him to drink urine.
Mm.
They forced this
Wow.
boy to drink
I did
urine.
read it.
And I don't mean any harm, but if that had
Mm-hmm.
been my child, somebody would have been. I can't say that on here, but
I know
you
because
know.
I would read the same thing. Somebody have answers to pay.
and so
Um.
now, and so now she's pressing charges.
Mm-hmm.
But why did you let him go there? Especially after they've been harassing him
Mm-hmm.
for the past year. Why would you allow him to go over to a house with nothing but them there?
And I read that story. And I can say there's African Americans in the Black community. Compassion is in our blood. We are very compassionate people, or we're actually forgiving people. But
Wait,
we
wait,
have to
wait,
use
wait. Hold.
common sense.
Yes, common sense, definitely.
I say that not to chastise the mother or to
Hmm.
point fingers at the mother, but common sense would have said, ma'am, if they have harassed your child, if they have bullied your child for a year,
Hmm.
racist, prejudiced people don't just snap like that. Change doesn't just
Hmm.
happen like that. And it is
Hmm.
not. People
Hmm.
don't even change like that unless something
Right.
traumatic happens. And I don't know if anything traumatic happened to those individuals who were doing the bullying. So let's
Hmm.
just say it didn't. So if nothing snapped in their mind, then you should have said, this seems funny. Let me talk to the parents. Or say, you know how your parents used to say, oh, you're not going with them because,
Right.
your mother and father have like an
Hmm.
intuition. Then I feel if I was in her position, it would have been a no. It would have been no. My child is not going. My child will not be
Most
going
definitely,
because
yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
I have yet to see these children be reprimanded for their actions against my son, nor
Mm-hmm.
has the school actually taken into account to my son's feelings. And again,
Mm-hmm.
this will go back to depression. This will go back to anxiety,
Right.
PTSD. The cycle starts over. We are already birthed into trans. We are already birthed into transitional or I'm trying to remember the word. I'm trying to remember the word, but a trauma that goes from generation to generation. So my answer would have been no. And I'm not trying to chastise or beat up on the mother, but that was,
No, I'm not trying to either. I'm not trying
yeah,
to
I'm
beat up
just
on
saying,
her either.
anybody who may be listening, I'm not trying to point
Mm-hmm.
fingers, but no, change doesn't happen
Right.
like that. Change, and she should have known better to send her child. She sent her child into the wolves' den.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Now
basically
I,
it.
I and now I know that her son, he has to have some issues because of that, what they did to
Yep,
him.
yep.
Um, and so I just hope that he's going to be okay mentally
Me too. Me
after
too.
experiencing that.
Seek counseling or something. Whatever works
Oh,
for.
oh yeah, definitely he's going to need that. Definitely, most definitely.
Yes, most definitely. Yes, I
So
agree.
let's talk about something fun right quick.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that was like quite heavy. So
Yes,
yes,
it
yes,
was. Yes, it was. I know some people don't like heavy stuff, but we got to talk about heavy stuff.
we
We got
do.
to
We
talk about
do.
heavy stuff to get things done, to get
Yes,
somewhere, you know. I know people shy away from that, but we have to talk about that.
we
Um,
do. We do.
so I want to talk to you more about your performing. When do you think you might get back into it at some point once you graduate after a while? Or because I know your time is probably consumed mostly by that and being a mom to Kaden.
Yes. Um, I would love to get back into it. Probably like right after graduation. Because I think I will have a little bit more free time, quote unquote,
Mhm.
because then I can really invest more in my passion of dancing, singing, and acting. I mean, if you're born with it, I don't want to ever get to an older age, like 89, like, oh, I wish I would have just went back. Oh, I
Right.
wish I would have did it. I don't want to live a life with any regrets because I want to say I put my best foot forward. And
Yeah.
like you said, the creator or God, gave me these gifts, and it says that
Hmm.
He gives the gifts without repentance, which means He wants you to use them. So it's like you sitting home, saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna write today," and then, "Oh, I'm gonna
Right.
write." And then by the time you keep putting it off, putting it off, putting it off, by the time you reach 90 or 80, whatever, then you're like, dang it, I wish I would have used the gifts that were
Right.
instilled in me. That I was born here. And you say you had a vision, and
Hmm.
it says, write the vision, make it plain. And so
Yeah, I
I
used to
definitely don't
lead
want to.
that song when I was in church. I used to
Really?
lead that song when I was in church. That's one of the songs I used to lead. Yeah, write the vision, make it plain. Yep.
I mean, but I believe in it. You're writing the
Yeah.
vision and you're making it plain. You're a living
Hmm.
testimony to
Very true. Very true. So
it.
you want to do well. I know because you got a sense of humor, so I can see you doing comedy too. But you want to do drama, comedy, all of it.
Yes, I definitely love comedy. I love making people laugh. You can
Hmm.
catch me laughing any time of the day. I laugh about everything. Um, Drama.
Are you an Aquarius?
No, I'm a Libra.
Oh, okay. Because I know Aquarius be laughing at everything. But yeah.
No, I'm a Libra. The scales.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know. I'm familiar with Libras. I know
Yes,
some cool Libras, definitely. I
yes.
know. I'm a Virgo. Woo woo.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, ooh, so is my daughter. She's a Virgo too.
Who?
My child, Cadence. She's a
Oh,
Virgo too.
okay.
Yes.
Okay. I know I saw greatness. I'm playing.
Right, right.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. How long have we been
Yes.
talking? Because it's been a great conversation.
Um, if we start at 6:30, so almost an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. Good time, good time. We keep talking.
Yes, this is a great conversation.
Okay, great conversation, most definitely. I like talking to you, and I look
Yes,
forward to working with you also. I was serious
yes,
about I was serious about talking to you about being a choreographer
yes. I
for
would
Royal
love.
Who's Melon Manor. Yeah.
Yes, I would love. I would brush up. Brush up on some skills. Thank God for. I have to name them Andrew Dove, Lori
Hmm.
Goodman, Yvette Shipley. Woo,
Yes.
Jesus, if it wasn't for them,
Oh
I
yeah.
wouldn't be. who I am saying, rest in peace, Miss Goodman,
Hmm.
a fierce
Yeah.
choreographer, but if it wasn't for them
Hmm.
or even being down to arena players, I would have never thought I could ever dance. And, and plus because, I was short, I was a little thicker than the rest.
Hmm.
But honey, I know I stayed front and center at every moment because I had to prove to myself that I could do everything. And I just love dance. It's within me.
Well, it didn't stop you because you moved very well. You worked
Thank
that
you.
stage. You did. You worked the stage very well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm definitely looking forward to working with you and all. Um, so when do you graduate?
2023. Whew.
Oh,
We're, we're,
oh.
we're hoping. We're hoping. We're hoping. My first year ends this semester, so I have one more
Hmm.
year, and then I have a couple months of just doing practicum and internship. So if everything goes well, I'll be a licensed clinician rather sooner than later.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So
And I have every faith that you're going to be an excellent one.
thank
Hell,
you. Thank you so much.
I might be coming to you. When, I might be one of your first patients. So
Yeah,
yeah.
look. If you can't make it, I'm doing like a shameless plug. But my sis who came on here, she has her own therapy place called Melanated Therapy.
Ooh,
And yes, and I
that's
think you would
black.
really, yes,
That's
I think
blackity
you would
black.
really like it. Yes,
Well,
yes,
I like blackity black stuff. That's me. Yeah.
yes. Melanated. So I'll send it to you, after the
Okay.
live if you want to check it out. If you need more immediate services, if you just want to talk
Hmm.
and get introduced and reacclimated, before I
Yeah.
go. I don't want you to
Okay.
wait.
You don't want me to wait? Well, I ain't snapping on nobody just yet. I come close, but I ain't do. You know.
No, you're a great writer, great actor, singer.
Thank you.
You do it all. You do it all.
Thank you so much. There's something I want to talk about, but I'm not going to talk about it just yet. Something I've been working on with somebody, but I ain't telling yet. I might
Don't
tell you
tell it.
off of here. I might tell you off here, but not on live.
Not, but look at it. You look at it, you say you gotta hold it together until it's time. Cause you don't want to speak nothing. You don't want nobody to hear it,
Right.
try to mess it up. I'm all big
Hmm.
on like keep it to yourself until it's time and
Yeah,
release it.
because I used to tell everything I was working on, and
Mm,
some people, crazy people, took that as trying to show off. But I'm not a show off person at all. Um,
mm-mm,
I put that out there because I thought people would be happy for me. But
mm-hmm,
I've learned differently. There's a lot of people out there that's not happy for me.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
I stopped putting everything out there. And
mm-hmm.
some things they won't know about until it's ready to drop. Until it's ready to put out.
That's how it has to be.
Yeah. Totally. Well, I would love you. You want to keep talking, or we can go for a little for minutes if you want.
It's up to you. I mean, I definitely am having a great time. I'm glad we can go. I like how we can go back and forth between mental health and
Yeah.
what's going
Well,
on in
that's what I
arts.
like to do. That's what I like to do on the C note is have a conversation.
Right.
I don't like to be stiff and set in one way. Just like having a natural
Mm-hmm.
conversation. You know.
Right. Right.
I mean,
Right.
I have some questions in my mind, but I'm not, just stuck in one
Mm-hmm.
little space.
Right. Right. No, I definitely get it. I mean, you kept the conversation moving. I mean, we had different segues into different
Hmm.
important topics, heavy topics tonight, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that they were even addressed. So
Hmm.
that's a win-win for me.
Well, I totally agree. And you and the other sister Kenya were both brilliant with what y'all said on
Yes. Yes.
King Talk. And well,
Mm.
Kenya was trying to preach a sermon. I don't know what she talked about, but
She
she was
was.
going up.
No, she was. She was spitting knowledge that
Yes,
I
she
was
was.
even writing down.
And
You know.
I was like, that's the kind of, because she was preaching a blackity black sermon. And there's another sister named Content Johnson who I
Mhm.
did an interview with. When was that? It was last month. I think it was last month, February
Mhm.
10th, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Mhm.
she's a singer and a writer and a filmmaker and all that, and she's
Mhm.
very, Afrocentric and proud. And we talked about starting a pro-black church together, and we were going. We're gonna call it Blackity Black 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 Ministries. We ain't joking either.
Hilarious. I mean, let it be
Well,
known.
and the kind of stuff that Kenya was saying,
Hmm.
that fits right in. That fits right
Right.
in, definitely,
Right. And that, even that
definitely.
again, that was a great experience, learning more about stuff that, that is not even talked about as much. But we
Hmm.
learned it so far back and now it's making full surface again. So I'm glad that the shows that you're involved in are very informative and they're very up to date and they are very
Thank
conscious.
you.
Because it has to be in order for us to, like you said, heal and
Hmm.
and now we have more resources. Thank God for the internet, created
Hmm.
by the African American. Um,
Yeah.
because now none of the resources are here. People can write down notes when they listen to like things of this podcast, and
Right.
you if they have access to other like books or movies,
Yeah.
they can look up James Baldwin and look if they're going through intersectionality with between being let's just say gay and being an African American. How does that overlap in their life and the intersectionality of it
Hmm.
of that? So again,
Because
thank you.
you're welcome. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of that something that was going on in Uganda a few
Hmm.
years back, called the Kill the Gays bill.
Wow.
Now, some of our people from this country will look at that and they think that that's just Africans being evil towards other Africans. But what they don't know is there was a Caucasian man behind that whole thing by the name of Scott Lively. He went over there and preached the message, you know, that God hates homosexuals.
Mm.
This is a white man doing that. And so he spearheaded that bill, that quote unquote killed the gays bill. Um, so it was a white man who went over there and encouraged other Africans to kill Africans based on sexual orientation. So it wasn't just Africans being evil towards other Africans. It was a white man behind all of that. Um,
Mm.
just like the way that we see manhood and womanhood in this country,
Mm.
the way we were taught that by the colonizers.
Mm. Mm.
Because in Africa, you will see, well, they're trying to change that now, but you would see men show each other affection.
Mm.
And sometimes you would see like two heterosexual men walking down the street because they're good friends. You would see them holding hands and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, because in parts of Africa, everything was not sexualized. Where
Mm.
over in this country, everything is sexualized. Everything is
Yeah.
sexualized or perverted. Like even
Mm.
even even with the whole dance that they call twerking, the whole
Mm.
movement that they call twerking. That movement, I forgot what it's called, but that movement that they call twerking is actually from an African dance.
It sure is. It sure is.
And there was nothing sexual about it in Africa, but it's been
Mm.
sexualized over here. It's been
Of course.
sexualized here in this country. And there was a sister. I don't know. Have you heard of Mama K before? Mama K from Wombwork Productions.
Mm. But I'm interested in learning.
Okay, well, she has her own production company called Womb Work Productions, and she had another sister there who was teaching dance, and the
Mm.
sister was talking about, like in Africa, she said it ain't no sexual orientation to the way you move your body. She said
Mm.
the way in Africa you will see men and women and men move their hips when they dance.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and it's nothing about sexual orientation. It's just the way that Africans move their bodies naturally. Uh,
Mm.
and they move their bodies that way. They use their bodies to praise the universe or whatever, or
Mm.
their God. Uh, but over here, everything has been, you know,
Over sexualized.
yeah, over, definitely.
Yes. It's crazy because you see like and I use them for my example. Like I call them my sisters, and so they're from the U.S. Virgin Islands. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so when they came up to church here, the way how we dance in church and the way how they
Mm-hmm.
dance in church are
Right.
two totally different spectrums. So
Right.
if you see them dance in church, you're like, oh my god, are you at a nightclub? And they look at us dancing, and they're like, oh, what are y'all doing? So it's just that we don't take the time to really research, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
and to really discover like some of the stuff that we think is new here. It's not new. It's
Mm-hmm.
just from another country, you know.
Right.
So
Exactly.
and we just
Uh,
turn it into something different.
yeah, because of our influences over here.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed this conversation, and I definitely want to have you back again
Yes.
whenever you get the time and you want to come back. You're more than welcome to come back. Uh, I loved having you on here. I enjoyed this conversation. It's been a really great conversation. Miss
Yes.
Kimberly Truesdale, ladies and gentlemen, a brilliant, up and coming mental health counselor coming up,
Yes.
and a very talented actress, singer, dancer, choreographer. Um,
Yes.
Thank you, Kimberly, for being here. I love you, my sister, and bless you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
It was fun. It's always a great time. And whenever you would need me, I'll try to be there. And I definitely love being here. The atmosphere is nice and warm. So thank you. Love you. God bless you as well. It was
Thank you.
great.
Thank you. You too. Enjoy the
Okay.
rest of your evening because I know you said this is your day off, right? Tuesdays were your day off. Are you enjoying it?
Yes. Yes, indeed.
This is your
I
this,
surely did.
this is your baby free night, huh?
Yes.
What you gonna do to
Yes.
enjoy it? What you gonna do to enjoy the rest of the evening?
Well, I exercised already because I'm trying to get these
Mhm.
COVID pounds off. But I'm
Okay.
about to relax. Watch a little Netflix,
Yeah.
and just chill out and practice self care. Okay?
Okay. That's very important. We got
Yes.
to take care of ourselves. Definitely.
Yes. Yes. Thank
All
you.
right, Kimberly. I love you again. All
Love you
right. Bye
too.
bye. All
Bye
right. Bye
bye.
bye. Bye bye. Hey, y'all. Um, I'll be back again tomorrow. That was a great episode, episode 13 with Kimberly Truesdale, and I'll be back tomorrow night, Wednesday, March the 10th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the incomparable actor, writer, producer, Mr. Michael J. Patterson. I'll see you then on the C Note. Love you now, family. Bye bye.